name is Nichole Wong. I was born in San Francisco, and a lot of my family lives around here. But when I was 7 years old, I moved to Hong Kong. And so I grew up there from the age of about 7 up through high school. And then I came back to the States for college, and I've been back ever since. So in terms of, I don't know, my own identity as an Asian American, it's kind of still being shaped. I definitely relate to being American, not just, like cookie cutter American, but like Asian American a little more than I relate to being from Hong Kong, because even though I lived there for such a long time, I don't know, I feel like being born here and coming from this culture and going the other way to Hong Kong kind of just shaped my identity a lot. So what else can I tell you? I went to school in the East Coast for undergrad and grad school. In between, I went to the Peace Corps. So I served in West Africa for 2 years. The Asian Pacific Fund is a community foundation. We provide grants and services to over 90 affiliate agencies here, and they're all Asian American nonprofits primarily. And they range from like providing services to homeless or youth, like health services, arts. So the range of kind of the work we touch it spans like a really wide range. Growing Up Asian in America is one of our education programs, and it's a contest. It's an art and essay contest that's open to K through 12 students throughout the Bay Area, and anyone can enter, like as long as they're, well, we kind of qualify that you don't actually have to be Asian, although the subject matter should focus on, what it's like to be Asian. So it's sort of a strange caveat, but we're trying to involve like Asian American kids and get them thinking about what it means to be Asian American. This year we got over 1,400 contest entries. That includes art and essay. And that's probably like the second highest level of participation we've gotten in the 17 years it's been run. I think my favorite essay entry was the first place middle school winner. Her name is Claire Dorsky. So she is from Kazakhstan, but she was adopted as a 6-month-old baby by a family here in San Francisco, a Caucasian family. And her essay told the story of, she very skillfully wove the story of like her coming here, being adopted from Kazakhstan, and like all the things that she had to deal with coming from there, like from a really poor orphanage there, with like her love of the Golden Gate Bridge, which ties in with the theme of the contest this year. And basically, when she was adopted and brought to San Francisco, her legs had shrank and weren't, like, I guess the muscles probably atrophied, because she said she came from a really poor orphanage in rural Kazakhstan, and so I'm not sure if, maybe they cramped the babies in really tightly together and didn't move them around much, but basically she had no use of her legs. And when she got here, the doctors told her parents, like, the only chance she would have to be able to use her legs and, grow them really strong and walk again would be to do, like, physical therapy. And he recommended gymnastics and swimming. So her mom took her to gymnastics class, I think, like, every weekend in the Presidio, which is, as you know, like, right by the Golden Gate Bridge. So she said, like, gymnastics was really hard for her, like, especially with, legs that she wasn't fully able to use. But she said if she was really good in class, her mom would reward her by taking her under the Golden Gate Bridge, where she called it a locals only surfer spot. And her mom would go take her to count like the crabs and the starfish and watch the kayakers. Um, and I guess the bridge was really special, or is really special to her family because her great grandfather was a war hero, and he was in the Navy here. So every time he would set sail to like the country he was deployed to, they would sail under the Golden Gate Bridge. And he would always tell stories about the bridge to Claire. And he said, it's his favorite part of the bridge, the most beautiful part of the bridge, is underneath the bridge because it's not all glamorous, but it just works. So anyway, she continued, going to gymnastics and spending, after class, like with her mom, walking around under the bridge. And eventually, like after years and years of the physical therapy, she has regained all her strength in her legs, and she's joined the track team at school, and she's now one of the fastest runners in San Francisco in her age group. Growing up in both California and Hong Kong, um, I don't know, I feel like I had the reverse experience of a lot of Asian American. Um, and so that was always kind of strange, being in Hong Kong as an Asian American kid, but, when you're in Asia, when you're living in Asia and you're not from there, even though I moved there at a really young age, they can tell, my Chinese is not as great as, it should be. When I open my mouth, people know right away that I'm not from there. The theme of the contest this year was bridges, and we left it really open-ended. But so a lot of the kids ended up writing about, really struggling to reconcile both sides of their identity, whether they were born here or born somewhere else, or they're multiracial kids. And so many of the kids wrote about kind of juggling both sides of their identity and trying to find that bridge that helps them not have to choose one side over the other, and not to have to say I'm only American or I'm only Asian, but like find like a happy middle place. And those bridges that they came up with are really, really diverse. Like some kids like found watching YouTube to be a bridge, and seeing all the Asian American faces on YouTube. One kid found cooking, and he's from China, I think. He's from China, and all his family are like Chinese immigrants here. And every time they have family parties, they don't, like for Thanksgiving, for 4th of July, they cook Chinese food. So this kid decided that he would take on, cooking American food for, like for Thanksgiving dinner. He made the whole Thanksgiving dinner like all by himself, I think, probably at the age of 9 or 10. It was really interesting. There was one kid who is half Chinese, half American, or half Caucasian, and she had an issue like as a young, I think she was in elementary school, and one of her friends at school was pure Chinese, she said, and her friend like made fun of her for only being half Chinese and made her feel like not Chinese enough, kind of like inferior. But I think moving back to San Francisco after being away in the East Coast and being in Africa for like many years, I'm sort of coming to coming to grasp my identity better, just because there are so many Asian Americans here. It's like 30% of the population in San Francisco, over 30%. And working at the Asian Pacific Fund and working on all these Asian American issues, I'm really learning like the diversity and the diversity of experience, and just how profound the backgrounds are of the different people who call themselves Asian